Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Timan Goswami, and this is my channel, The Common Math. So, I know the 10th board exam CBSE are coming very soon. It's on 5th of May. The coming week. It's on Thursday. So there are I sort of pushing a few videos where I'll be walking through all the chapters like you should do, full revision of the chapters as well as important questions we are going to be discussing, so that you just have to come and watch the video and then practice on your own. That's all. It's going to be an easy task. All right. So today we are going to start with the quadratic equations. So let's start the chapter quickly. All right. So this is the introduction. So all right. So it says, okay, quadratic equations. We have actually studied quadratic polynomials in your 9th standard. So when you convert it into an equation, when you equate it to 0, then we call it a quadratic equation. All right. I guess that's highly understood. So the quadratic equation comes up when we deal with many real life situations. For instance, suppose a charity trust decides to build a prayer hall having a carpet area of 300 square meters. So this is an equation actually. So what should be the length and breadth of the hall? Suppose the breadth of the hall is x meters, then its length should be 2x plus 1 meters. We can depict its information pictorially. So you can see it's the area of the hall should be 300 meters square, and its side should be x and 2x plus 1. So then you just multiply that and then equate it to 300, and then you get a quadratic equation. Can you see this one? This one right here. So this is 2x square plus x minus 300 equals to 0. And then you can solve for x, and then you find the answer since x is a variable here, right? So the main aim of this chapter is to convert real life situations into quadratic forms, and how to find the roots of such quadratic equations. So let's keep going. So the breadth of the hall should satisfy the equation as it says, right? 2x squared plus x minus 300 equals to 0, which is a quadratic equation. Okay, so this is history. No need to study this much. Just directly skip. So okay, fine. Quadratic equation. So the main purpose behind this video, again I'm telling, so it's like how do we study, how do we revise just during just before the exam. So this is, we are going to take synopsis, we're going to understand each concept, make sure that we know it pretty well, and do some important questions from the NCERT book, because these questions are very important. Out of there only questions comes in your examination as well. And so, and then doing the previous year papers, and then you are good to go. So let's then keep going ahead. So this is, just try to mimic me, and this is how you should study, and you should be done in just a 3 days of time, and you'll be 100% prepared. So watch this. So let's keep going. So a quadratic equation in the variable x is in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, c are real numbers and a cannot be equals to 0. So you see, if a becomes 0, then it will become a linear equation. Okay, let's go quickly. Let me just explain what has happened up to this point. So we can say that a quadratic equation is nothing but actually a quadratic polynomial. Okay, a quadratic polynomial is nothing but a polynomial of degree, a polynomial of degree 2. That's a quadratic polynomial. And when you equate a second degree polynomial to 0, you get a quadratic equation, right? So quadratic equation can be written in a standard form. This is known as the standard form. Standard form. So ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. The main reason why a cannot be equals to 0 is that if a becomes 0, then this will just be bx plus c equals to 0. And so then this is not a quadratic polynomial. This becomes a linear equation actually. Fine. Okay. So that's the reason why. So now this is the standard form of it. So you must know the standard form. Okay. So this much you should know. Now let's just keep moving ahead. So you see, that's I've made it very much clear here. So the standard form of the quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0 and ya is not equals to 0. Fine. So now these are a few examples. They're asking to represent the following situations mathematically. So, okay, fine. Okay, let's just do the first problem very quickly. Okay, so it says John and Jivanti together have 45 marbles. Both of them lost 5 marbles each, and the product of the number of marbles they now have is 124. We would like to find out how many marbles they had to start with. Okay, so it says that John and Jivanti together have 45 marbles. So when we are faced with such kind of problems, then you see, come to the solution of the first one, as you can see here. See, let the number of marbles, if John has x, then the other will have 45 minus x. So this is not, linear equation in two variables. You can solve it through two variables also. You can say like John has x and Jivanti has y. But since we are only solving for quadratic polynomials or quadratic equations here in this case, so therefore we just convert our whole equation in terms of one variable only. And this is how we do it. Since it is said that the sum of each of them is equals to 45, then one is x, then the other becomes 45 minus x. Now considering them both, you can find the equation. So he says the number of marbles left with John when he lost 5 is x minus 5, and the number of marbles left with Jivanti when she lost 5 marbles is 45 minus x is the number of marbles she started with, right? So it's asking why here. So you understood why it is 45 minus x now, right? Jivanti had is because total marbles both of them had, John and Jivanti was 45. So if John has x, then Jivanti will definitely have 45 minus x. All right. So then according to question, number of marbles left with Jivanti when she loses 5 marbles is 45 minus x minus 5. Total number of marbles Jivanti have is 45 minus x, and then subtracting 5 out of it. So you have 40 minus x. Now what should be the next step? Take a pause, and then you should, clearly understand. You should be able to find the equation in your head only. So the question says that when after the given information that after losing 5 marbles, the product of the number of marbles that is left with them now will be 124. So take a pause and take a piece of paper quickly and then write the quadratic equation. You don't have to write the final, in the standard form. Just write the equation as it is. How will it look like? How will you just form it? Okay, now I'm scrolling it down. See, it should be looking like this. See, x minus 5 into 40 minus x is the product of their marbles. And if you solve it, then it turns out to be like this, minus x squared plus 45x minus 200. So now we need to equate this to 124, as it was said that this amount is equals to 124. So therefore, you see, this is how we solve it. They took 124 to the left hand side. So you got minus 200 minus 124. So it gets minus 324. So then they took they multiplied minus both sides. So therefore, all the negative terms becomes positive and positive becomes negative. So it becomes x squared minus 45x plus 324 equals to 0. This is the final quadratic equation, in the standard form. All right. Okay, where a is equals to 1 in this case, b is equals to minus 45. Yes. You need to be very, very clear in that case. So let me just give you a quick scenario here. So let's say if our quadratic equation is 2x squared minus 3x minus 16 equals to 0. Then if you compare it with the standard form, then a is equals to 2, b is equals to minus 3. So it's actually not completely converted to the standard form here. So how do we convert it? We need to write it like this. Let me just quickly change the color of my pen. You need to quickly write it like this: 2x squared plus minus 3x plus minus 16 equals to 0. Now you are okay. From there, you know, you get these values. A, B, and C becomes minus 16. Okay. Now is it clear? All right. So this is how it should look like. So ax square plus bx, and there's plus all between, right? So therefore don't make that mistake. So if there is like uh, as this equation is 2x square minus 3x minus 16, don't consider that b is equals to 3. No, this will be wrong. Okay, this will be completely wrong. B is actually equals to minus 3 here. All right, so this much you need to know here. Okay, let's then keep moving. So now in the same process, they have solved for the second problem. It's fine. So now let's quickly check the second example. Check whether the following are quadratic equations. Okay, how do we check it's a quadratic equation? Fine. You need to square them up. As you can see, x minus 2 whole square is here, plus 1 equals to 2x minus 3 is here. Fine. So as you see, there is a whole square. So you need to check if x squares are getting cancelled in both sides or not. Okay. So in this case, it's not happening. So one will happen to be a quadratic equation. But in second one, you can see that x square is on the left hand side, and on the right hand side also there's going to be one x square. Both of them are going to get cancelled. So it's going to become a linear equation actually. So 2 is not a quadratic equation. So that way you can check quickly. And the fourth one is also very interesting. See, it is x plus 2 whole cube. So as you have studied in, okay, let me do this one very quickly. The fourth one, x plus 2 whole cube equals to x cube minus 4. The question is x plus 2 whole cube equals to x cube. How much was it? Minus 4. Okay. So we know the formula of, cubic, like x a plus b whole cube. We know this formula. We have understood this in, algebraic identities in our 9th standard. So this is nothing but equals to a cube plus b cube plus 3a square b plus 3ab square. This is the formula. So if you convert this, you're going to get this x cube plus 2 whole cube plus 3x square into 2 plus 3x into 2 square equals to x cube minus 4. Now see, this x cube and this x cube gets cancelled. Fine. So then this equation actually becomes 2 cube is 8 plus 3 2 just 6x square plus this is 2 square 4 into 3 12x equals to minus 4. So if you want to just convert this to a standard form, it's even better. 6x square plus 12x plus 12 equals to 0. Now you can also simplify it further. Can you see? There is common factor. These are all factors of 6. So I can take 6 common out. So this becomes x square plus 2x plus 2 equals to 0. So this gives us x square plus 2x plus 2 equals to 0. So therefore this is a quadratic equation. Fine. Even though you can see there is cubes on both the sides, don't think that it's not going to turn out to be a quadratic polynomial. So it could be a cubic polynomial too. Cubic polynomial is cubic equation. Cubic equation it will be when the degree of the polynomial equating to 0 is 3. Okay, let me just give a quick refresh reminder of what you studied in your 9th grade in polynomials. Fine. So you must remember that in quadratic equations, the polynomial which is equating to 0 must have a degree 2. That's all you need to check. The highest power. When we say degree 2, that means the highest power in the polynomial of x in any of one of the term, the highest power of x should be 2. All right. So this is how we tackle this kind of problem. So up until now, this kind of questions actually won't be asked also in the examination. So, but this was just for a quick revision and quick, jog off your mind. So if it's not asked, doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. You should do every nook and corner of your NCERT book. Please this is a reminder to all of you. Okay. So now let's keep moving ahead. These questions you see here, can you see they got x squared plus 2x plus 2 equals to 0 like this. So they've converted it into the standard form. So see, in the remark also it's given, be careful, in 2 above, the given equation appears to be a quadratic equation, but it is not a quadratic. It's the question which I told you about the second one, this one, right? The x square gets cancelled here. See, x square plus 8 equals to x square minus 4. So x square gets cancelled. It turns into a linear equation, which is x plus 12 equals to 0. Since it is a linear one, it's not a quadratic. So it's not a quadratic equation. Fine. So all right, so now we arrive at the first exercise. Now from the first exercise, you can see you need to just check. The first question is check for the quadratic equations. So please go through it quickly, solve the problems. I'm moving ahead. I need to show more concepts and I need to do that in less and less of time. So, okay, then represent the following situation in the form of quadratic equation. Okay, the area of rectangular plot is this much. The length of plot is 1 more than twice its breadth. We need to find the length and breadth of the plot. Okay, so see, one thing you also need to understand it when they are asking represent the following situation, you don't have to solve for the quadratic equation. Okay, you just need to represent it in as a quadratic equation. That's all you need to do. Okay, so in this case, the area of a rectangular plot is 528 meters square, as it says, and the length of the plot is 1 more than twice its breadth. So we need to find the length and breadth of the plot. Fine. So these are a bit easier questions. If you have any doubt, please put a comment on this video, and I will surely get back to you as soon as possible. You can also join my Telegram channel. The link is in the description. Please do discuss and everything. You must be fully prepared for your board's examination this time. You should get 100. That should be the target. You want to get a full in this paper. All right. So the product of two consecutive positive integers is 306. So we need to find the integers. So these equations, please try them quick. And you need to just make the conversions. So I'll do the last one. Last one looks a bit interesting. Each of them are pretty much easier only. Last one says that a train travels a distance of 480 km at a uniform speed. If the speed had been 8 kmph less, 8 kilometers per hour less, then it would have taken 3 hours more to cover the same distance. We need to find the speed of the train. Okay, so in this case, 480 kilometers, if the speed had been 8 kilometers per hour less, then it would have taken 3 hours more to cover the same distance, as it says. All right. So very first, how do you find the equation here? Is that the distance which is given to us is 480 kilometers, right? Let me quickly look at. Okay, if the speed had been 8 kilometers per hour less, then it would have taken 3 hours more, all right, to cover the distance. Okay, so let speed be x. This is how you need to write. Okay, I'm doing a show. Okay, let me do it from the beginning very nicely. So this is how you need to write in the examination. Given distance, comma d equals to 480 kilometers. Okay, and let speed be x. Then time taken to complete journey. Okay, time taken to complete journey will be t equals to 480 by x. Okay, why is it so? Because we know that speed, do remember this is from where this information you should know prior to, this is prerequisite to the question, that speed is equals to distance by time taken. Okay, so according to that we make the changes. So therefore time taken goes here, speed comes here, so time taken will be distance by speed. All right, so and the easy way to check is by the units. So distance is in kilometers and speed is in x km per hour, right? So kilometer by hour it is. So kilometer by hour, kilometer gets cancelled. So it's like this, units will be like this, kilometer by hour. Kilometer gets cancelled, the hour goes up. So therefore it becomes in hours. So 480 by x. So this is the actual total time that it must take. So now you need to write the equation like this according to question. It says, what says in the question, that if the speed would have been 8 kmph lesser, then it would have taken 3 hours more. So 480 is the distance, fine, divided by speed is x minus 8. Okay, so x minus 8, then it would have taken 3 hours more. So that is 480 by x is the original time, right? So plus 3 hours. So this should be the equation. So how do we equate this? We take it to the other side. 480 by x minus 8 minus 480 by x equals to 3. Now, if you notice, okay, let me take this nicely again. 480 by x minus 3 minus 480 by x equals to 3, right? So the difference between the time will be 3. Now, how do we solve this equation? See, we can shorten this equation a little bit by taking 480 to the other side. How do we do that? We can write it like this: 1 by x minus 3 minus 1 by x equals to 3 by 480. And this becomes, x minus 3 by x into x minus 3 equals to, now this can get cancelled, 160. So this is 1 by 160. So here what do you get? You get 3 again, right? Because x minus x plus 3, x gets cancelled. And below you get x into x minus 3 is equals to 1 by 160. Now this implies 160 into 3. Now this gets cross multiplied. 160 into 3 becomes x into x minus 3. So I want, for writing it better, you always want the quadratic equation to be on the left. So I'll just, represent this right hand side as the left hand side. So x into x minus 3 is nothing but x square minus 3x. So the right hand side I'm writing it on the left, and the left hand side I'm writing it on the right. So see, 160 into 3 is nothing but 480. So therefore our equation becomes x square minus 3x minus 480 equals to 0. We need to solve this equation. So they have just asked to represent as a quadratic form in the quadratic equation. So this is how do we do it. So that's it. So let's keep moving ahead. So now this is the main part you need to understand. Now we need to understand about solutions. Until now we know how to represent a quadratic equation. Okay, from information to getting to a quadratic equation, we now know. Now you need to convert it into a, we need to find solutions to it. So fine, just directly read here that in general, a real number alpha is called the root of the quadratic equations. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0 if alpha squared plus b alpha plus c equals to 0. That means if you substitute alpha in place of x, it must satisfy the equation. That is, the left hand side must become 0 if you put alpha in place of x. Okay, only then we call it as a root of the equation. So it's also like, actually, since the left hand side is like a polynomial, so zeros of polynomial, do you remember? So zeros of polynomial is the value of x at which the polynomial value becomes 0, right? So it's just like that. So we are equating it to 0, right? So therefore it's the 0 of the polynomial, and roots are the same. That's all what they're saying here. Okay. So now how do we find the roots? By factorization. That's actually by the splitting of middle term. So let me give you a quick idea of splitting middle term here. Okay. Let's take this question only. 2x square minus 5x plus 3. 2x square minus 5x plus 3 equals 0. So now there are actually, three ways in this later part of our quadratic equation, this chapter. You will, after forming the quadratic equation, you need to solve for the equation, finding the roots. So there are three ways of finding the roots. Okay. So the first one we are doing it right now, that is by factorization. Okay. And how do we factorize? Factorization. Okay. And how do we factorize? By splitting the middle term. All right. Now, how do we split the middle term here? So there is a very nice way here. Okay. So you need to consider this number and you need to consider this number. Okay. This is A and this is C actually, right? So, and this is B. Okay. Minus 5 is your B. So you need to find a way such that, you need to split. So middle term splitting it is called. So let's say this minus 5 is B, right? So B equals to minus 5. So we need to split B such that, like B1 and B2, okay, we have to split in such a way that B1 and B2 in such a way that B1 plus B2 is equals to minus 5. Okay, they add up to being the same number, and B1 into B2 is equals to AC. Now, when you put it in these variable forms, then it becomes a bit tricky to understand, right? In this case, when I'm writing minus 5, I'm actually trying to write B. Okay, so B1 plus B2 is equals to B. That is, you split the middle term such that B1, B2 is equals to AC. Now, how do we do that actually? So let me show you in practice how it is done. So 2x square minus 5x plus 3 equals to 0. So how do I split this one such that it is, okay, first I need to see what is the multiplication of A into C. A into C is 6. All right, so it is 6. So how do I split minus 5 as 6? I can split minus 5 in two ways. Either I can write it as, minus 6 plus 1, right? Isn't it? So minus 6 plus 1 is equals to minus 5. But minus 6 into 1 is equals to minus 6. This is not, but we need to find plus 6, right? So this is not our way. Is there any another way how we can do, if we split minus 5? Yes, there is. We can say minus 3 plus minus 2. We can take this. Minus 3 plus minus 2 is minus 5. All right. And minus 3 into minus 2 is equals to 6. This matches. So therefore, this is our perfect split. So how do we do it now? So we can write it as 2x squared minus 3x minus 2x plus 3 equals to 0. Now you see that from the first two terms, you can take x common. So it becomes 2x minus 3. From the second two terms, you can take minus common. So you get 2x minus 3 again. So our main objective is actually to get a common, linear polynomial here, so that you can take that as common from the whole equation. So 2x minus 3 now can be taken out from the whole equation, and so that leaves us with x minus 1 here equals to 0. So this is known as the factorization. So why are we factorizing it? Is because now the roots of this equation are nothing but equating these individual linear equation to 0. You'll get the individual roots. So 2x minus 3 equals to 0 if you put, then you get x equals to 3 by 2, and x minus 1 equals to 0 if you put, you get x equals to 1. So therefore x is equals to 3 by 2 or 1. So these are the two solutions, or you can say two roots or two zeros of the quadratic equation. So this is how you do the middle term split. If you want to understand more, then just drop a comment below, or you want to do some discussion, come to the Telegram channel. That link is also in the description. So this is how you do the middle term split. Fine. Now let's just keep moving. So you see, note that we have found the roots of this by factorizing 2x square minus 5x plus 3 into two linear factors. Fine. So these two linear factors, then each we equate to 0, and then we find the answer. So the same way we are doing for the others too. All right. So you just practice a bit more, and then you'll get to the answer. Now, okay, this one is a very important one. Since this is a bit tricky, so I'll be doing the fifth example. So it's asking us to find the root of the quadratic equation 3x square minus 2 root x plus 2 equals to 0. So let me write the equation quickly. 3x square minus 2 root x. 3x square minus 2 root 6x, I guess. Right? 3x square minus 2 root 6x plus 2 equals to 0. So this is our equation. So how do we do the middle term split here? See, again, the a and c multiply gives you 6. So this is how you need to be quick. So how do we split the middle term? So it's minus 2 times of root 6 it is. So there is only one way that I can see here very quickly. That is, I need to split it in this manner, right? 3x square minus root 6x minus root 6x plus 2 equals to 0. Can I write it like this? Now you see, minus root 6 and minus root 6, if you add them, you get minus 2 root 6. Okay, so it's satisfying our first criteria. And minus root 6 into minus root 6, minus root 6 into minus root 6 is equals to 6. So this matches our A into C. So both the rules are satisfied. So this will give us a perfect way to solve our quadratic equation. Now the thing is, how do we split this evenly such that we get a common what do we say? You get a common linear factor, so that you can take common from there. So how do we solve that? So from the first equation, can you see we can take out root 3x as common, isn't it? So what do you get here? You get root 3x as well. So always remember, root 3 into root 3 is equals to 3. We can actually take common from 3. If you see a prime number, don't just think that, okay, if there's a prime number, then I cannot take anything common out from there. You can take root 3 out from it, from common from it, and then this is how the equation will look like in this here, as you can see. So if I take root 3x out from these two values, what do we get? We get root 3x minus root 6. From root 6, if you take root 3 out, root 2 is left. Okay. Similarly here, in this case, you need to take root 2 out. Then you are left with root 3x minus root 2 left equals to 0. So now you can take common root 3x minus root 2 then you get root 3x minus root 2 equals to 0. So from this, what do we get? These both are same equations. So you can write it as root 3x minus root 2 whole square equals to 0. Therefore, there is going to be only one root for this quadratic equation. That is x equals to root 2 by root 3. Or you can also write it like this, root 2 by 3. Right? Now see, that's the answer going to be. Fine, this is how you solve such problems. So this is how we did the middle term split here. All right. So now let's just keep moving ahead. So as simple as before, they are just asking you to find the dimensions of the prayer hall as discussed in section 4.1 on top, at fully at top. So this was the equation. You got 2x square minus 24. Okay, this was the equation, 2x square plus x minus 300 equals to 0. Now you just need to find the solution to it. Now see, I'm just giving a quick walkthrough. See, after finding the solution, how do we solve this? See, the factorization is x minus 12 into 2x plus 25. Now, if you put both equal to 0, you're going to get these two solutions, x equals to 12 and x equals to minus 12.5. Since dimension of a hall cannot be negative, therefore x has to be 12. So based on that 12, you will convert your answer. That is, see, cannot be negative. So thus the breadth of the hall is 12 and its length is 2x plus 1, which is 25. That's how you find the answers. Now, important question, let me mark from exercise 4.2. You shouldn't leave any question before going to the entering the exam hall. That's it. So find two numbers whose sum is 27, product is 182. These are simple sums. Find two consecutive positive integers, sum of whose squares is 365. Again, altitude of a right triangle is 7 centimeter less than its base. Okay. If the hypotenuse is 13 centimeter, find the other two sides. All right. You completely can do all these sums. So a cottage industry produces a certain number of pottery articles in a day. It is observed on a particular day that, okay, fine, was 3 more than twice the number of articles produced on that day. The total cost of production on that day is 90. Find the number of articles produced and the cost. Okay, all right. So 5 and 6 both are very important sums. Please do try on your own, since we need to cover as much ground here as possible in as much little time. I'm going to move ahead. Okay. Try this problem. If there is any doubt, just put a comment below and then we can discuss it further. Okay, let me question number. Okay, after question number 6, we have solution of a quadratic equation by completing the square. So completing the square is somewhat like this. Let me just show it to you. Wait, let me take an example here. Okay, an example. Okay, let's just take this first very easy one. X squared plus 4x minus 5. So x squared plus 4x minus 5 equals to 0. So this is our equation. Fine. Now completing the square, we actually add and subtract a constant on the left hand side such that we can make a square, okay, of the equation, right, in terms of a variable x and a linear equation square, actually linear polynomial square. So this is how actually it's done. See, watch this. Let me just do it and then you'll understand better. So 4x. So usually to convert this into a squared identity, we need to convert it in this form, a plus b whole square. So a plus b whole square you only get when this is in this form, a square plus twice ab plus b square, right? So minus 5 here it is equals to 0. Now this one I can write it as x square plus 2 into x, right? So 2 this is a, this is b. Okay, all right, let me just, this is a, this is b, and this is a square, right? So b square must be this 2 square, isn't it? So I need to add a 2 square here. Now I just cannot bring a constant from thin air, right? So therefore I need to subtract 2 square as well, isn't it? Because 2 square minus 2 square, that is 4 minus 4 is 0, and 0 is viable in an equation. So I'm just adding and subtracting 2 square on the left hand side, and then minus 5 is already there. This is equates to 0. So what do we get? Now these three, the first three values together will make x plus 2 whole square, right? A plus b whole square it is. And we have minus 2 square is 4 and minus 5 equals to 0. And this we get x plus 2 whole square equals to 9. We get 9. Now, if we take square root on both sides, now we make a very interesting mistake a lot of people do here, is that if you take square root both sides, then you get x plus 2 equals to 3. And then you solve for x equals to 3 minus 2, and it becomes 1. So your answer is x equals to 1. But no, there are actually two values. Why? Because if we have x square equals to 4, then x can take two values, that is 2 as well as minus 2. Are you getting it? So therefore, when you take square root on both sides, these answers are going to be plus minus 3. So x is going to be 3 minus 2, or x is going to be minus 3 minus 2. Okay, so minus 3 minus 2, you are going to get minus 5. So answers are going to be 1 or minus 5. Fine. So please don't commit that mistake. And another thing that you need to do here is that, let's say you have, okay, let's take another example quickly. Like 9x square minus 15x plus 6 equals to 0. So in such kind of problems, 9x square minus 15x, how much was it? Plus 6 equals to 0. Again, if you are asked to, do it by completing the squares, asked to find the factors by completing squares. Now this one becomes a bit trickier, is because, like, see, in this case, since there is 9 here, you can convert it into, since 9 is a perfect square, so you can convert it as 3x whole square like this. But it's not possible always actually. So let's say it was 5x square. If it was like that, 5 is now not a perfect square. Let's say it was 5x square minus 15x plus 6 equals to 0. So in such cases, what do? You make this a term, you make the coefficient of x square as 1. So how do we do that? By dividing both sides by 5, right? So if you just multiply 1 by 5 to the left hand side and 1 by 5 to the right hand side, the equation remains the same, right? So by doing that, the equation turns out to be x square minus 15 by 5 is 3x plus 6 by 5 equals to 0. Now you have got an equation. Now how do we further solve this? X square, now convert it in the form of a minus b whole square from there. A minus b whole square is actually how much? A square plus b square minus 2ab, right? So but here you have got only 3x here. So you need to multiply 2 and divide by 2. How do we get? Minus 2 into 3 by 2 into x. So now 3 by 2 is our extra term here. So you need to have 3 by 2 whole square. Now this gives us a minus b whole square form, right? So you need to also subtract 3 by 2 whole square plus 6 by 5 equals to 0. So this equation turns out to be x minus 3 by 2 whole square and minus 9 by 4 plus 6 by 5 equals to 0. Okay, this is how you need to approach this problem, and later you can simply solve the way we solved the previous question. Just take the constant to the other side, and then take square root, then solve it for plus minus of that value, and then find the value of x. Fine. So this is how completing the square works. So let's just keep moving. So these are the further questions. Solve all the examples, solve all the exercise problems. Okay. Now the next one, this is called as the Sri Dhanacharya's rule, or the third way, it's also called as the quadratic formula. So here is the derivation actually. So you don't have to delve into understanding the derivation now because time is less, but it's better if you just quickly understand it. I'm just giving a quick walkthrough, just 10-15 second walkthrough. So they have done the same thing. Ax square plus bx plus c equals to 0 was it. So they are just using the completing the squares thing here. Fine, they divided a both sides. So x square plus b by a, x plus c by a. Now they converted it into a whole, they converted it into x plus b by 2a. So they multiplied 2 and divided by 2. So they completed the square, and they need to subtract minus b by 2a whole square. Now that they took to the other side, so you get b square minus 4ac. Now you take square root, you get plus minus square root of it, and then you take b by 2a to the other side like this. See, x plus b by 2a. So it's very easy to understand. So by using the concept of completing the squares, they actually came up with this quadratic formula rule. So you can just, what you need to do is you need to just convert the equation into the standard form, and then you need to apply the values to the equation. Like for example, this was our equation, 9x square minus 15x plus 6 equals to 0. 9x square minus 15x plus 6 equals to 0. So write it in standard form. 9x square plus minus 15x plus 6 equals to 0. So now a, this is b, and this is c, right? So therefore the values or the roots of the polynomial are going to be minus b plus minus root over b square minus 4ac whole divided by 2a. So minus b means minus of minus 15. Don't make this mistake, okay? That there is minus 15 already there. So this is going to be minus 15. B is actually minus 15 here. So minus of minus 15 plus minus root over, this is going to be minus 15 whole square minus 4 into a is 9 into c is 6 divided by, okay, divided by twice of a. So 2 into a is 9. So this is minus of minus 15, you get 15 plus minus root over inside minus 15 whole square. 15 whole square is 225 minus 4 into 6 is 24, and 24 9 ja is 216. Right? So 9 2 ja 18. So you're going to get 15 plus minus square root of 225 minus 216 is nothing but 9 by 18. So this becomes equal to 15 plus minus square root of 9 is 3 by 18. So x is equal to, there are two answers. One is 15 plus 3 by 18, or x is equal to 15 minus 3 by 18. So 15 plus 3 by 18 is 18 by 18, which is 1, or 15 minus 3 by 18 is nothing but x equals to 12 by 18, and 12 by 18 is nothing but 2 by 3. So these were the answers we actually got for that equation as well. So you can find it using the quadratic formula as well. So this is the quadratic formula. Right? This is the quadratic formula. Now the next part of the quadratic formula is to understand the nature of the quadratic formula. Okay, the nature of roots we need to understand. So how do you find nature of roots? Is very simple. It's using the quadratic formula only. See, everything is linked one after the other. As you got this as what, minus b plus minus root over b square minus 4ac, right? By 2a. Now this part, b square minus 4ac, it's all dependent on that. And that part is also called as discriminant. Okay. It is also called as discriminant. So it's written like this: d equals to b square minus 4ac. So now if discriminant is greater than 0, okay, then it will have two distinct roots. Okay, so actually have two values, then plus minus of that value you will do. Okay, now if discriminant is equal to 0, then the only solution is minus b by 2a. Since this part, since b by 2a part, sorry, since root over b square minus 4ac part becomes 0, so you will plus minus do 0, so you'll get the same value. So minus b by 2a is going to be your only root. So if d equals to 0, then one root, or we also call as equal roots. So quadratic equations have got two roots at most. Fine. So in this case, it will have equal roots. And if d is less than 0, so in 11th standard, you'll understand. If d becomes less than 0, see, when you cannot have square root of a negative number. Fine, it becomes imaginary. So that you will study in your next standard. But when it becomes d less than 0, then there are no real roots involved. Since we cannot find square root of negative number, and it's not considered to be real, so we say that there are no real roots. Okay, so this was the best understanding of it. So there are certain questions now. If we just move ahead, let's just keep moving. Now see, please solve all the examples and try doing all these questions. So a rectangular park is to be designed. Okay, this example 12 is very important. Example 13 in this, see, find the roots of the following quadratic equation if they exist using the quadratic formula. See, so if they exist, they're saying, so they will only exist. So it's actually based on the nature of the roots. That will come in the next part actually. So if you can check if they'll only exist when discriminant is greater than equals to 0. Okay, so you need to check the discriminant in all these cases. So moving further ahead. So this one is an interesting problem. Example 15 is again an important one. So the answer is all up there. Please do the question. All right. See, I've already covered this part, nature of roots, distinct roots, real roots, discriminant based on it. So no real roots is when b square minus 4ac is less than 0. So this was all the part. Okay, example 17 is very important. Just understand from it what, okay, I'll just walk through it very quickly. So a pole has to be erect at a point on the boundary of a circular park of diameter 13 meters in such a way that the differences of its distances from two diametrically opposite fixed gates A and B on the boundary is 7 meters. Is it possible to do so? If yes, at what distances from the two gates should the poles be erected? Okay, so this is the figure. So you need to figure that out. So it's already told that diametrically A and B are opposite to each other and P is placed such that, on the boundary is 7 meters. The difference of the distances from the two are 7. Okay. So if, from one it is X distance, then from the other it will be X plus 7. As simple as that, right? So only then the difference between the distances is going to be 7. Okay, so that's what they are doing. So if they consider BP, so P is the pole, A and B are the gates. So if BP they're considering X, then AP must be X plus 7. So such that X plus 7 minus X will give you 7. That is difference between the distances. So now AB is 13, and since AB is a diameter, right? AB is a diameter. So angle APB is 90 degree. Why? It is saying Y. So do you remember in your 9th standard in circles, we have studied that the arc, subtends whatever angle at the center, it subtends half of it on the remaining circle. So therefore, since AB is the diameter, so diameter is making 180 degree at the center, so it will subtend 90 degree at the remaining semicircle. So therefore, angle APB is 90 degrees. So you can say this is angle on semicircle here when you want to write the reason. So therefore, we'll apply Pythagoras theorem. AP square plus PB square equals to AB square. So that is X plus 7 whole square plus X square equals to 13 square. And then if you solve it, you see you get a quadratic equation. Now further you can just use quadratic formula to find the answer of X. So first you need to check the discriminant. B square minus 4ACC, it's 289, which is greater than 0. And 289 is square of 17. So that's how you get the answer. X equals to minus 7 plus minus root over 289. So minus 7. So further if you solve, we get an X equals to 5 or minus 12. Since distance cannot be negative, so 5 is the answer. You need to write that in your answer. So therefore the distances from gate A and gate B are going to be 5 and 12. Right. So this is how it's done. Now see, in this case, example 18, can you see? C here, the third arbitrary constant C is 1/3. So as it is, you need to put it in the quadratic formula. So don't make any changes. If there is a factor there, don't think that only 1 will be considered as C and 3/3 won't be. So don't make such mistakes. So this was it, and this is summary. I hope I have justified and went through all the points just by listening and just taking the pen and just going on with me would have completely done this chapter thoroughly. All right, now all what you need to do is, all the concepts are done. Now quickly just go through the problems in the exercise and make sure you are done with it in another hour or two. That's it. Just quickly solve the problems so that you are in good practice shape. All right, so we'll meet you in the next video where I'll be doing the next chapter pertaining to algebra. So thank you so much for watching. I hope it was helpful.